How to change your iron sights on an HK P2000 without expensive sight tools or gunsmiths. Up next. Purchasing a new set of sights are expensive enough, but adding a sight tool to that will make anybody pause. So I challenged our team gunsmith, Robert Jones, to show us the correct way to change out your sights with just what comes in the package.
Alright, so we've got our HK P2000 slide in the vise here, and what we want to do, we're going to work on the front blade first, and what we want to do is see where it's at to the left and to the right. And the easiest way to do that, it's not the most accurate, but it'll get you really close, especially on a fixed sight type arrangement. Before you drive your old sights out, obviously you know where those were hitting, so this is the time if you want to make an adjustment to do it. However, in our case here, we already know where this gun hits. We don't want to move that. So what we do is we come off the vise edge here to your blade and see where that's at with your dial caliper, and then come to the other side. And in our case here, we are dead center. So when we put our new sight in, we want to make sure that we set our new sight dead center. All right? So let's look at what it takes to drive the sight out. So there's a couple different ways you could drive the sights out of these guns. If you've got one that's really tight, they make a sight pusher tool that you could use, and there's some really nice ones that are out there. I'm a little old school, and again, going back to the Dyson that you can see here, this is the front sight pusher, and nice brass hammer, and you just come in, hit that nice and smart, knock that right out of there. So that came out of there pretty easy. Remember what your measurements are so you can put the new one back in. Alright, when you're putting in your new sight, there's a couple things you want to look at. If it fits pretty loose in the V-notch in your slide, then you're going to want to look at something to retain it in place, and our liquid compounds like our Loctites. Real quick word on the Loctite. So this is the red. This is the 262, the red. This one I don't recommend. I really don't recommend this for most parts on the guns. You don't really need it. If you use this stuff, consider that locked in place, and you're probably going to require heat or some sort of a chemical action to remove it. This is the 242, which is the blue. This is my go-to for almost all this stuff. I've used this on sights for years and never had an issue. All right, let's look at what it takes to put the sight in. Okay, when you're looking at your new sight versus your old sight, there's some orientation, but the chances are the dimensions of your old one to your new one are going to be different. So on the Dawson in particular, what you want to look for is on the face here are serrations, and we want to keep those serrations towards the shooter. So those serrations cut down glare and shading and stuff like that. So if you put this in the wrong way, the red dot is the same, but however, there may be an angle difference here in what you're looking at. So make sure that those serrations go towards the rear sight. All right, and let's take a look at putting that in. Alright guys and gals, so we got the new front sight in, and you can see that here. So we got the new front sight in, and we actually, so I did it off camera, but we had to use the big vise here to get a good solid bite. So my vise here, and this is really important, is your setup. So again, a sight pusher kind of builds all that into it. I don't use a sight pusher. I've got the vices here. I've got a soft vise so we don't damage any gun parts, and then I've got the hard vise, which takes a little bit more care to use this. If you've been doing this for a while, then you'll know. However, you can use things like your cloth or whatever, kind of come around the slide to hold it, but to get you a good bite, so you get a solid base to be able to drive the sight through. And this one took a little bit of tuning to get it in, and we didn't have to use any of the Loctite, hence why I didn't put that in the video. And this one secured in, really tight. All right, so next is the rear sight. Let's take a look at that. Alright, so what we're working on now is the rear sight, and this is the factory rear sight, actually, correction. This is a Trigicon rear sight. Remember, this one was really tight in the slots in the HK, which is not surprising. You'll find that with your Glocks, all of them, so the V-notches, fit real tight. However, what the Dawson does, which is cool, is the Dawson actually has a set screw in there, if you can see that. There's a set screw in there. And now what this allows you to do is when you put this in, you just slide that in. You just slide that sucker in just like that, and you are now adjustable for your left and right. Your elevation is fixed, but you can adjust it to the left and to the right. So this is a sweet little thing that Dawson does. So don't fret if you grab yours and it just drifts right in. That Allen screw is designed to set it in place once you get your zero where you want it. Again, we want to use the blue Loctite, which is the 242 for that purpose. We do not want to use the red. If you use the red on this rear sight, wherever you set it and forget it, because you're never going to get that Allen out of there again, okay? So we don't want to use the red. All right, so that's Sights 101 for an HK P2000.
A special thanks to Robert Jones for his time. For more gunsmithing tips, consider subscribing. As always, be safe, and I'll see you on the range.